Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager 24, episode 17, as we go to enter season number 2. I was pretty optimistic from the initial reports. It seemed like the car was getting better. It seemed like it was 5% better, not 5% worse. It seems like it's done that to everyone because I feel like the progress we've made has been offset by literally every other team out gaining us. Our initial day one car is last in every category, which it was not last season. So as much progress as we made, it seems that we are actually worse off. Now, we don't know for sure if that's going to actually be the case post-testing. Speaking of post-testing, it's about to be post-testing, and I do have our first two upgrades ready. I'm going to put it on the car now. That's going to be the change of a new front wing and a new rear wing, which can help us both in pace and cornering. It's going to make a pretty big impact across the car. Well, to start for our first sponsor plan, we do have a mandatory activity, a fashion show appearance, which is actually going to boost driver marketability, and one driver event that's not going to help us here to start the season, certainly with their weekend performances, but a few team activities is going to give us a huge advantage going into future periods. Plenty of cushion to do things, and coming up on 14 million for this first payout. So our post Bahrain testing results is not good. It's definitely not good, but one thing is better than what we saw, and that is a 15th in acceleration. So the acceleration piece, something that was really off for us, we've definitely closed the gap, but it looks like we are in a whole heap of trouble to start the season. I did not think we were going to be this far behind. In fact, I thought we'd be clearly ahead of one team and chasing the others, but it looks like we're going to be chasing the whole grid. And so a couple days before that first race, compared to the grid average, we'll not look at individual teams until we've done that first race. I'll get out there and find out just how bad it is from there. But grid average, still more than 2 kilometers an hour faster than what we are, but it is less than where we started last season comparatively. Still off on acceleration, but quite close. Still off on DRS effectiveness. They've really jumped from where they were a season ago. 15% behind. Grid average, that is a fair bit. Low speed cornering, well over a tenth behind, almost a tenth and a half. Tenth and a quarter on the medium speed. We are not quite 2 tenths, well over a tenth and a half on the high speed. We are 13% on the dirty air tolerance. We are 18 on the tire preservation, 23 on the engine cooling. It's going to take us some work to get there, and we might struggle for results here early in the season. And our one day, our January 1st, where we were 13 million in debt, and then on January 1st, we were positive balance. We find ourselves with a board who was quite upset that we spent 12 hours in debt. Our board evaluation starts the season now on medium. Our setup for race targets, just like last season, is 18th, 20th, and 21st. Good news on top of that, though, is that we have a significantly higher reward base. 2 20ths will nearly net us $1 million.
The anticipation is really building here. The fans in attendance are absolutely buzzing with excitement. The McLaren driver now fully focused on this race.
Yeah, it's a P5 start. The podium's in sight, but there's a lot standing in their way.
So let's see what today has in store, shall we? And this is it, the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And we have a new season underway, starting on the back row of the grid. Added to our challenge will be the fact that I'm starting on the medium compounds. So I'm choosing to be faster later in the race as we're starting from the back, so I want to be patient early on. We're not the only ones doing it. I saw others with that yellow wall. In fact, a lot of teams are starting with the yellow wall. So, okay. Looking for a two-stopper of a medium soft for both drivers. And just want to be patient early on. But Winter gets the good start, gets up into 20th ahead of the Alpine. It's the Alpines back there with us. And then the Kicksaubers just ahead of them. And that looks to be the teams we're going to be racing with. As you've got Haas up at the front of the grid. And things looking normal. Except for that Russell's way off for where you would think Mercedes should be. But that happened a lot last season too. Still got Ferraris at the front and McLaren's chasing Red Bulls. We got a yellow flag. There's a lot of debris out there. It's green. I didn't think any of that was ours. It's not. It's the Kicksaubers. The Kicksaubers, which was the former Haas drivers, both moving to the same team and then come together with one another. Absolutely demolishing that wing, but it does back up the back end of the grid, which puts us further off from everybody else, but it does help us greatly with the chance of maybe beating the Kicksaubers today. Both under investigation, but I would imagine this will be seen as a racing incident, and we want to start backing off. We are 1 lap light on fuel. Yeah, we're already off the back. With the 2 Saubers now struggling. Still no result on the investigation after 4 laps. I think they're taking a real good look at it to see if somebody's to blame and should be punished. I mean, I'd love to see one of them get a penalty. It'd be funny if they managed to both be given a penalty. You guys crashed into each other. You're both to blame. Winter's still ahead of Oudekhoven, but Oudekhoven with the DRS having an easy go of things at the moment, following. And now gets around Winter. 7 seconds off the back, and the 2 Kicksaubers are down into that 19th, 20th position. If they double stack and then both change their wings and they're both still right with each other, you can see one of them well behind us by the time they come out of the pits, and we could maybe get ahead of the other one as well. Ricardo also towards the back in the Alpine. He's on softs. Okay, that explains a lot that he's managed to move forward. With the aid of the softs, and he'll back off before long. And a lot of those medium runners have been pushing a little extra hard. And we're just 5 seconds behind those two, so the gap has not gone out at all. Though Hulkenberg is pulled away from K-Mag just a little bit. Field spread not crazy here. I mean, we are a ways behind. It's 44 seconds. But I don't think we're losing rapidly on the front. We are at the moment, though, as Hulkenberg made a push.
There's a yellow flag
to catch
now.
up. Or K-Mag made a push, whichever one of them made a push to catch up to the other. That has put us a little bit further behind. And Liam Lawson, first one to pit this season in the Haas, replacing those 2 drivers. He's now sandwiched in between. Gasly stops. K-Mag stops. And he's stationary for a good while, so K-Mag has swapped out his wing, and they're just showing the damage. There wasn't even an investigation, by the way, but he now has a repaired wing. Now Hulkenberg pits a lap later. Comes out a little bit further ahead. They seem to be a little quicker on that change, but the damage is now repaired for both. You would expect that they're going to be back to full speed, and that's going to speed them up. And now that we're below that 60% threshold, let's attack for our remaining laps here. Just 6 seconds ahead of the Kicksauber is a worrying sign, but we'll be soft for the rest of the way and hopefully have some better pace. Oudekhoven with the push is starting to pull away from Winter. I could maybe double stack and get away with it, but the disappointing thing there is Winter is being overtaken actively by Hulkenberg. Oudekhoven just a second ahead. We're going to give him DRS too, which is not helping anything. But we hold him off. Can we hold him off through the DRS zone? We've given him DRS as it is, but can we slow him down? No, we can't even slow him down. And that's Oudekhoven now on pit road. With already having been overtaken by Hulkenberg, it's going to be a difficult chase. Our pace seems to be pretty poor, but our pit stop was fantastic. 2.486. Was that better than anything we did last season? I think a 2.5 was the fastest pit stop we had. I've made that much progress with the pit crew already. That is a fantastic stop compared to what is expected for us, but I really have brought things up and along for us. Pit crew really helping us out there as we take off. We've recovered a decent amount of fuel, but definitely not all. We've recovered about 1 kilogram so far. So Oudekhoven is going to have some work to do, and I mean, look at all that clean air, and look at those McLarens straight away behind us as Winter gets ready to dive off into the pits for her first stop of the day. One more to go later on, and again, we should be faster from here, but I mean, we're 15 seconds. No, that's not the right one. 2.565, that's a good stop too. That is a good stop too. That would have been among the top 5 stops of all of last season. We come out just behind Oudekhoven, and now it softs the rest of the way, but it's 2 stops, 2 stints on the softs. Plenty of work still to do, but the race is half done, and we are 25 seconds behind Hulkenberg and K-Mag. Yikes on that part. Which compound are they on right now? They're on the sauce. They've been pushing for quite a while. I have a feeling they're going to be on the mediums to the end, or they're going to really struggle to make it. I mean, they're going to drop off the threshold here pretty quickly. That's a lot of ground to cover, and it's blue flags itching to hold us back as time goes on. About to drop below that 60% threshold. I'm hoping that we're going to now start making gains. We've been holding steady so far, and immediately you can see, yes, we are starting to get closer. Within about a lap, we gained 1 second on him. But where is the Piastri? Blue flag's already kicking in. Both drivers going backwards, and it's back out to 25 seconds.
We've got a yellow
so now a
flag
lap
here.
down. The blue flags are holding us up. Leclerc into the race lead as others around us pit. K-Mag now also getting blue flag though. Brings it back towards us a little bit. And we're just 5 seconds behind K-Mag. He already pit, didn't he? He did. He's at 90%. I made the call for the pit a little too late. And we were already, Oudekhoven was already behind Winter. I didn't realize Oudekhoven had been overtaken by Winter, but we're going to pit from last. Winter will have to pit 1 lap later. We'll come back out on track just behind a Ferrari. 15 laps to go and 1 kilogram left to recover on the fuel. And we still find ourselves in that lap down kind of territory where K-Mag just got lapped down for the first time, but we are just 10 seconds behind K-Mag now, but it's another almost 10, and that's Winter. Yeah, we're dead last and by a fair margin today, aren't we? The pit. Eesh, there's a slow one, 2.85. Didn't see a mistake in there. That was just a slow pit stop. So it looks like we're going to cruise to a very, very way off pace first round performance. This is not competitive yet. We are still under on fuel. However, it's okay because we're a lap down. We're not going to get that extra lap in. Hulkenberg about to get lapped. At this point, K-Mag is only behind a single lead car, and we are in the middle of the grid in terms of our placement. And so it's just getting worse and worse as we pick up more and more blue flags. So Sainz leads as we go into these final laps, and he's got a 12-second advantage. Should be cruising towards the first victory of the season. So it's Red Bull right back on top. But it's, again, Red Bull being very much a one-car team. Piastri, Bottas, it's so weird that both of the Red Bull drivers end up getting dropped and end up as free agents. But we are making that final push, last 2 laps. Now 34 seconds behind, so as blue flags started to hit the others, we do gain a lot of ground on this final stint, but we're half a minute down on the next team, and they are just about half a minute down on the next driver, who's 15 seconds down on the next team. So yeah, well off pace, but the usual suspects are totally out of it, and it's the normal 10 cars at the front with a slightly different set of drivers out there. Sainz claims the win. Winter right now is claiming the not last. The objective of 20th with 0 DNFs and both cars being well off the pace has not succeeded. We will collect no bonus cash today. Rough start to the season. We also only have about 4 million, so it's going to be a little difficult to try to get into the next upgrades, but we do have a turn of the month and an ATR period coming out of this weekend. But 21st and 22nd is incredibly disappointing and well off the pace, looking very much like the first races of a year ago, maybe even worse. Even with a really good 2.4, it still was not enough to score in the fastest pit stop competition. So no points for us today, amazingly, with our fastest pit stop. And we scored 50-something, almost 60 points last season. It was 9th of 11 on the day. So even Williams was in between us with a 2.474. We did 2.485. And then Kick Sauber was the only one, and Haas were the only ones slower than a 2.5 today. We did bag a second 2.4 Oedekoven, both pit stops below a 2.5 after 0 last season. So really good first round besides the slow one for Winter. Second month of the year driver development update. In the first one, we had a +1 to adaptability for Oedekoven, and that was the only point they gained. It was off season, and we're also just coming out of off season. So Winter gains 1 in control. Oedekoven 1 in overtaking is all we gain here, but that'll start to pick up. I have been doing some scouting, looking at potential affiliates to bring in, as I have no affiliates at this moment, as we were poached for the one that we signed late last season, which was weird because when I did contracts with the others, they wouldn't even talk to me until halfway through the year. Till half a year had gone by, they weren't willing to negotiate the next contract. And we go and sign somebody, and like 2 months later they get poached. Not even sure how that's possible. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Affiliates mean very, very little in this game. You're not gaining anything from having them. You have no advantage to actually signing them to a permanent deal. It's still a pretty broken system in my opinion. You have more than one reserve driver at least. It's better than the old system, but it's still not an ideal one. You don't have any sort of priority to them other than that somebody else has to come along and pay you to take them away, or just catch the end of their contract and sign them away anyway. And that's not how it works in real life. So by the end of March, we're supposed to be right back where we ended last season for our pit crew attributes. Our car building will be exactly where. So we've recovered everything that we lost at the end of last season, and will be at an 8.5% chance of mistake. But meanwhile, our estimated pit stop will be cut down to a 2.6, just about flat, and that's quite a bit faster than where we ended last season. Hence the fact that we already put in 3 of the best pit stops we did comparatively to all of last season, including the 2 fastest pit stops comparatively to all of last season. But we did luck out. I mean, a 2.6 flat is where we were, and yes, that's average, and it's going to fluctuate up or down from there. That's your bell curve middle. We should have had results near that middle, and instead we had 3 results a fair bit faster and one that was a bit slower. So our first upgrade for the next period post first race post Bahrain is going to give us a decent amount of extra cornering, but this is not substantial. This is not a huge upgrade for us at all, but our underfloor had already made significant improvements, so it's a little harder to get gains out of it anyway. And a lot of the gains we're getting is coming more from shedding weight than it is. And so for the next upgrade, we're going to the chassis. Here it's at least 2% because it's only in the mid-40s instead of low 50s, so it's a little easier to get gains. But yeah, I need some facility upgrades bad for the sake of the car. Regardless, though, this chassis and shedding the weight in particular is really going to help us in the cornering. I'm not doing 2 upgrades this time, though. I'm going for 3. I have got to dump the money into this because of how bad the car is right now. So 2% gains from low 40s for the side pods brings us, again, when you triple what we did over the 3 components, the cornering is going to see a substantial upgrade to it somewhere around what, 0.4, 0.5 to everything, 0.05 to everything, and we were looking at a tenth to a tenth and a half off grid average. So we're gonna get a third of that or better. That still leaves us a ways behind, though. Surprisingly, the engine cooling is going to be a little bit better from to the upgrades. We'll have a little more top speed as well, a little more acceleration. But at the moment, I'm very worried about where the car is at this moment. Round 2, Jeddah. Sainz wins again and is looking pretty comfortable at this point. Only a tenth faster, though, and actually only a tenth ahead of Piastri at the finish line with a 12-second gap over Russell, who has a much better second race here. Albon in the Haas gets up into 9th place, scoring some points for them, as Williams get 11th and 12th. Hauger and Norris, the drivers for them. Kick-Sauber Hulkenberg gets 14th. And thanks to a couple DNFs of Giovinazzi and Fernando Alonso in the Alpine, that's who he's with right now, it's Odokovic in 19th, Winter in 20th. Only 3 cars a lap down, so we're not so crazy far off the pace, but we're off the pace. We beat no cars on merit, not one, and that's going to be a problem for us for a little while, and we really need to focus on car development right now more than anything else. Third straight win for Sainz. The game seems to be having a habit of doing this, or at least this particular series is. Norris, the Williams, though, gets 3rd place. One stopper that succeeded? Maybe. The RB of Pierre Gasly gets 8th place, also upsetting the regular standings. So is there 2 DNFs at the back to help us out? Kick-Sauber gets 16th and 17th. We have not seen either of our drivers by 19th. Odokovic gets 20th. Winter gets 21st. Again, last place. Again, off the pace. We're talking about, a second to the drivers up here. We are talking about nearly a second to most of the ones in front of us. And Fernando Alonso in the Alpine, the only one that we're even remotely close to, about 2.5 tenths, quarter of a second off on that one lap. And that's not good, especially when you look at Winter, who was an additional half second off for her best lap. We were the only cars a lap down. Time gaps were relatively small across the grid. Vesti and the McLaren DNF'd, giving us at least one pass, so we'll get 450k. Early points, Sainz, of course, is leading, but it's Piastri, Bottas, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Russell. Bottas in 3rd place in an Aston Martin. He's at a podium. He's at a pole position. He's had a fastest lap. 13 drivers have already scored points, including Albon, and we are dead last right now. The 2 teams we're chasing is obvious, but it's Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes at the top. It's Kick-Sauber, Alpine, and us, the only ones that have yet to score any points, as RB pick up their first 4 of the season. Williams pick up their first 15 of the season today with that phenomenal podium result. Are they going to replicate anything like that this season? Don't know, but right now it's Kick-Sauber ahead of Alpine, ahead of us. Still nowhere on the fastest pit stop competition either. 2.4 flat. I'm down to that 2.6 on the average, but what did we get? We got 2 fast ones again with Odokovic. Is this a relationship with her race engineer that's seeing her get faster pit stops right now? Could be. Could be if she's finally got that relationship sorted out. But 2 4.5s, it's good times. I'll take them, but it's slightly frustrating that everybody else has improved that much more than we have. So we've got a turn of the month coming, and we definitely need it. We're at 5.5 million. We're going to have 3 upgrades done in 1 week, so I need to save the money, and we should be banking $3 million. Put us up to 8.5, and we're going to be spending a lot of that right away because we've got 3 upgrades to cover off. Tricky thing about 3 upgrades to cover off is manufacturing. We only have 2 facilities. By the way, this is probably holding us back right now. probably holding us back a lot. Factory, the condition's down to 70%. The design center is at 66%. The effectiveness is just 60%. So we should be getting a 1.0 on the airflow drag reduction elements, and we're not. So we're getting less bang for our buck on the upgrades. We have got to spend some money. An upgrade's $8 million though. To refurbish is 2 billion. The wind tunnel, same thing. 80% effectiveness for this one, and I think that's the thing to watch out for. Development speed, project capacity, like the factory is going to have to sit. It's going to have to wait. But the simulators, they're at 80% effectiveness, where the design center is already at 60. So I think the design center is one I've got to put some money into very, very soon. Might even be more important than upgrades right now, because we're getting almost nothing out of the upgrades, but it's costing us, like right now, 3 upgrades. $3 million? $3.5 million for 3 upgrades. And then we're going to have to pay for the new manufactured parts. Probably talking about another $4 million for that. So $7.5, $8 million? $8 million for minor gains. We upgrade the design center to level 2, and we're going from 0.6 to 2% across the board. And a higher engineer capacity. We can add 4 more engineers and get projects done a little bit faster and get things back a little bit faster. And it's only going to take 63 days to complete. I think we really are going to have to suck it up and spend that $8 million sooner rather than later, and then get upgrades as we can. Maybe we do 1 major upgrade in the next window, in the next period. But even then, I think we have quite a while before that's going to come up and turn over. It might be just about the end of April by that time. And if that's the case, then it really makes sense to cough up the $8 million. But if we're only going to bring in 3 and a partial, that's going to bring us right on down to almost no cash. And we're not having success right now as a team. Out on the grid already, a few components. Nothing too bad. We've gone through 2 front wings already, though. I'm suddenly down to 3 on this new front wing. A lot of worries early on, and medium confidence, and already the race performance, they went from happy down to satisfied 3 races into the season, where we've been last in every one. The objective from last year, they're disappointed. The finances, disappointed. That's going to go away after 4 months, and they'll go back to being happy, and that'll help us offset. But we have got to start finding some performance in that car, and at the moment I'm not sure how to do it, because our facilities are absolute garbage, and now the condition is garbage, so we're getting an even worse return on those upgrades. I feel like I'm going to have to do something, beginning with $8 million spent that we don't even have right now. So crap, we're in trouble here in season number 2. I thought we were looking pretty good, and we are anything but. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.